you hit play on this show, chances are you like listening to things, people talking, stories. Our show is just over an hour long, but what if you need something lengthier in your life? Audible is here for you. Audible has over 30,000 audiobooks available with plenty of wrestling autobiographies from stars such as Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, and more. You can listen to one of these books for free by going to audibletrial.com/bytethat. This gets you a 30-day free trial of the service, plus a free book of your choosing. Your ears will thank you. Welcome, folks, to episode 202 of the Byte That Weekly Wrestling Podcast. You can check us out on most podcast platforms, including live on YouTube. We go live every single Wednesday around 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And on this episode, we're going to be talking a lot about balls, because it is the Great Balls of Fire predictions show. We're going to get to be talking about that awesome rap battle that took place on SmackDown Live. I'm Juan Velas from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Joining me is Canada's Keith Poshik, Ryan McNulty from Boston, Massachusetts. Keith, I gotta ask you directly, what's so good about Canada?
Well, it gave me disease this week because I've got some sort of cold sickness going on, so that's cool. Canada's awesome. I don't know, it's great. We have poutine. Canadian bacon's dope. I'm not a big fan of maple syrup. What other stereotypes can I think of? Igloos are kind of neat.
Problem is you haven't said fun. Like at least 5 times. You should have said that if we talk about stereotypes.
Well, I don't think that I should be talking in my Canadian accent because it's about time to talk about some wrestling, don't you know?
that is what we're here for.
All right,
checks out.
But yeah, folks, this is a fan-supported, a Patreon-supported show. You can go to patreon.com/bytethat, and for as little as $1, you can get access to a pre-show, where this week we talk about health, we talk about Ryan's weight loss goals. They are real, folks, and he is now officially accountable, so you can do that. It goes an extreme amount of ways to helping us grow each and every week. And we have a ton of people that have become Gold Patron supporters that we are proud to showcase each and every week, including, Ryan, what do we got?
This week, we'd like to thank Bo Segrist, Derek Wilson, Barney Johnson, and Paul Lobin. Thank you guys so much for the support. Things like this awesome live podcast have been possible because of Patreon supporters like you guys, so thank you.
Yeah, man, and before we continue with like the actual podcast wrestling discussion, thank you to everybody that has let us know, the enjoyment that you've gotten from the live show. We've had people that listen on iTunes, but they even still say like there's something different about the live atmosphere where, like sometimes you want to over prepare, but the moment you hit that button, whatever happens.
For better or worse.
Yeah. Like the Giant Bombcast is one of my favorite gaming podcasts of all time. And they were doing a lot of E3 coverage, right? And in one of the episodes, in one of the videos, they had Xavier Woods, they had Samoa Joe, they had a lot of people there. And instead of saying welcome back, he like said 8 words at the same time. And you could see it in his face, like these wrestlers are about to roast me like there's no tomorrow. And they did. But at the same time, that's the best thing about it, right? Like that natural atmosphere that you create with shows like this. So guys, thank you so much. How have you guys felt? This is the go-home show to the Great Balls of Fire. Do you feel that energy as we get to the predictions much later on down the show?
There are definitely balls of fire, but I am still unsure of how great I'm feeling about them right now. I hope the show nails it because it's feeling pretty lukewarm going into these fiery balls.
I feel like this build-up has been going on forever. I am going to sort of miss being able to say great balls of fire all the time. Great balls of fire. But
don't condone a drinking game right now.
Yeah. Maybe, you know what? It's such a dumb name. It needs to come back next year. So this is the last day for a while that we're going to be saying Great Balls of Fire.
when we talk about
Oh, that's
how
right.
great
We
Balls
still
of
got
Fire
kind
was.
of the fallout, fallout of balls.
We
and
got a little
then-
bit more balls
Yep.
left.
It's
Yeah,
like
just
a
little
puberty.
bit.
We got to squeeze the ball for all it's worth.
No.
Yeah,
with
gotta
that-
get that
Too
last
far.
juice.
All right,
Yeah.
we're done. Nope.
And with that, we go to the Raw polls and the SmackDown polls. Remember, folks,
We
you
talked
can
about
follow us on
balls. Now
social
it's time
media.
to talk about polls.
Raw, fight that. Yeah, we're getting Raw right this week. So, regarding Raw, from our patented, our incredible out of 4 ratings ago, you guys and gals told us it was just a 2 out of 4. So we're back down, guys. It was doing good for a week, but 39% for 2 out of 4, 36% pretty good. So that was neck and neck right now with SmackDown. This week's SmackDown was on freaking fire. Only 4% of the voters gave it a 1 out of 4 at boring. 49% said it was great, and SmackDown was indeed a great show. Like, I was just jumping out of my seat. I was yelling like during that rap battle. I just enjoyed it so much. And you know how people always say like you can be sports entertained, sort of making fun of the fact that the best part about wrestling is not even the in-ring action. This pretty much confirmed it, right? Like there was no wrestling, basically no physicality involved. But let's get to talking about that first, that rap battle on SmackDown Live. I didn't get the hype for it. I think a lot of people were afraid, you know, with the Miz and the whole like this is your live segments. Traditionally, these have not done all that great. What did you guys think about the rap battle on SmackDown Live?
The difference between those, especially with the This Is Your Life, is the fact that that happened on Raw. This is the nice show where we get nice things, and boy did we get a really nice thing with that rap battle. It started off a little slow. My biggest fear for it was WWE would WWE-ify it, where it would be really cheesy, really lame, but nope. New Day kind of, but the Usos killed it. Oh, they killed it. So good. So good. That was one of my favorite segments in a long time, and I personally preferred it over things like the Fashion Files and the Miz making fun of John Cena earlier this year. I've been critical of those, and I think that kind of stuff that the rap battle brought is way better than those like funny, kooky, like, oh, let's not be super serious. Like there's a way to be super serious and still entertaining, and I think that hit that mark.
Yeah, this rap battle was basically everything done right for building a feud without having to get any physicality involved, because you got both of these guys, these teams, to show their creative side, where you could tell the lyrics were at least partly written by these guys. Like it didn't come off like it was something written for them. So for better or for worse, you know, Kofi Kingston's rhymes weren't all that great, but it did feel like his sense of humor. So it had an authentic feel to it. And I know he got the whole hexagon, octagon thing wrong, which was pretty funny about stop signs.
Details.
Yeah. But I didn't even notice at the time because you're just paying attention to, you know, everything else. But this was a great way that they not only incorporated a celebrity in a meaningful way that actually made sense and didn't take away from a feud, but it was also just entertaining as hell. And the Usos had some sick burns. And Xavier Woods was definitely the best guy on the New Day. He had some good stuff with the whole Roman, the Usos carrying the bags of Roman and stuff.
So what a topic
roasting,
is of interest. Yeah.
Yes.
For both
we all know
roasting
the line
and
of the
being
night, though.
roasted. Yeah,
Yes.
both roasting and being roasted, Xavier killed it. You actually brought up a really good point there, where look at Raw and SmackDown for the last 2 weeks. Look at the celebrity appearance on Raw, and then look at the celebrity appearance on SmackDown. It's a very good how to do it right and how to do it wrong comparison, with SmackDown being right and Raw being wrong.
Sadly, though, at the end of the day, the LeVar Ball thing is going to get way more attention than the Wale thing ever will, just because it was controversial.
I do love how at the beginning of Raw they were saying everybody was talking about the LeVar Ball thing. Yes, they were. Not for the reasons
Maybe
you're
not
saying.
for the reasons you wanted.
Yeah.
That being said, like going to the rap battle again for a couple seconds, it was awesome when the Usos mentioned the whole sex tape with Xavier Woods, and the whole crowd knew. Like the way that crowd erupted, let you know, like, hey, them people got them interwebs, and they got jiggy with it, man.
That was like a genuine, like, oh, S word. He went there. He went there.
According to someone on Reddit who was there, every single adult in the arena was like, "Oh!" and every kid just had no idea what was going on, which is just hilarious.
As it should be.
Yeah. So overall, I am super happy things like that are happening. Another thing that's happening great with SmackDown, as you can tell, we're basically leaving all the Raw conversation for the predictions because we're just going to get to talking about balls a lot. So we want to save the ball talk for later. Sami Zayn and the Power of Love. So we didn't cover this last week when Maria and Mike Kanellis, they were out there.
I love that headline.
Zayn and the Power of Love.
Power of Love. That should be like a mini series or something.
Dude, I would get 3 Blu-ray copies of that bad boy. But I love how last week he interrupted their entrances and then he was like, my bad. Just the little things, right? They didn't take 30 minutes to explain something. Then this week you have a bit of a follow-up where, they're interviewing Maria and Mike, and then Zayn just awkwardly knocks something off. And then the facial expression sold it so well, like, uh-oh, the same people again. And it's not this story of, like, I gotta beat you down. I'm the evil bad guy, and I'm the lovable baby face. No, it's just like, I'm awkward, and you two love each other, and this is going to mesh well. There's no physicality involved, but it keeps you interested. It keeps you engaged, and it develops a character for Mike without even really doing much, because they've done basically next to nothing, but it feels like we already have an idea, right, of like who Mike and Maria are in WWE.
Yeah, we know what they're about, and another thing that they cleverly did on Talking Smack was, because the camera kind of cut out for a little while when they were doing their promo, they said on Talking Smack that Sami Zayn tripped over a cord or something, and that's what caused the camera to cut out, and then he made the distraction noise or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of just funny how you have Sami Zayn just accidentally keep messing things up, and he's completely innocent intentions, but he's going to find his way into a feud with Mike Kanellis over this whole thing. And I think it's a creative way to start a feud. It's not just the typical, I want the title, I got to beat you up because you're the person I have to beat to get to the title.
Plus, it's a really good first feud for Mike Kanellis and Maria, because let's face it, Sami Zayn isn't exactly the guy that's on the highest point of the roster right now. He's a good guy to get beat and have a really good match along the way. So this is a really good way to show off Maria and Mike, and I'm looking forward. I hope. I have that lingering fear that it's going to eventually turn into, oh, you keep interrupting, so I'm mean bad guy, gonna beat you down. But I'm hoping they do more than that.
I have a lot of hope with this. So, like, not just even for Maria and Mike. I think that Sami Zayn has always just been like the babyface because he naturally looks like a really good guy, right? But now the babyface element has a character to it. Like, he has like this quirky thing where you want to punch him in the face because he's so awkward, kind of like I guess I admittedly am sometimes, Keith. I know. Yeah, I know how you feel, buddy. I get you. Yeah. But you still love him. Just like I know you love me, Keith, and you will never get over my power of love.
Here's to the greatest love I've ever known, one.
There's another love in WWE that just can't seem to go away no matter how far or how long time goes by. There's this man called John Cena, the dynasty of the WWE, the New York Yankees of the WWE, as he so much got pissed off once when CM Punk actually said that to him, and that's what got him over the edge, not anything else. He is back. But we also got Ruru back. Got that great combination happening on SmackDown Live. It was the 4th of July. So, Ryan, it feels like out of the three of us, definitely maybe more patriotic for you than it was
Ryan,
for Keith and me.
How hard did you Murica on the 4th of July?
Did you Murica, Ryan?
I did. I kind of Murica'd the Saturday before because, maybe I have Tuesday off, but I still had to go to work today. So
you Murica'd on Canada Day. You Murica'd on Canada Day.
Whoa.
So did you really Murica?
I got all my fireworks and all that out of the way then and avoided the traffic and everything yesterday. So it was kind of nice. I just watched SmackDown. That was my 4th of July celebration, as sad as that may sound to everyone out there.
Was that American enough for you?
It was, especially the beginning, man. They went, Cena went real heavy on the America stuff. It was a little too much for me. But the most upsetting thing about this situation is Rusev finally returns.
Oh.
And what are we going to do? We're going to feed him to John. What are we going to do? Brappadoo. That's what we're going to do. We're going to feed him to John Cena. That is depressing as hell to me. Okay, because we got, what is this going to be? A flag match at Battleground? Rusev is so screwed, and it's just depressing because we had high hopes for Rusev on SmackDown Live, and it doesn't seem like it's going to start out too well. Plus, he's right back into the anti-American thing. That's the last thing I wanted to see him do when he came
SmackDown
back.
is so anti-American right now.
We
Kevin
have
Owens,
Jinder
Jinder
Mahal.
Mahal.
America
Jinder
will
Mahal,
prevail.
the main champion on the show, is doing this. And you have a chance to bring back Rusev for something completely different, and they're falling into the same thing that they were doing before. I just hope this is a one-off thing at Battleground, and they completely switch gears with Rusev after. That's my big hope for this, because this is just not the way I think you should start Rusev off.
Agreed. When Rusev came out on SmackDown, I started having like nightmarish flashbacks to his first feud with John Cena a few years ago, where it just destroyed Rusev in the long run. And it sure looks like, at least at this moment, that's going to happen again, because if they're going into a flag match, probably doesn't have a hope in hell against Mr. America himself, John Cena, not Hulk
Will we
Hogan.
get a tank again, though? I want to see another tank.
I hope we get a tank, but that's more of like a life standard of I live in a constant state of hoping to see a tank. But man, Battleground sure looks pretty patriotic on paper right now, doesn't it? Like you have the whole Face of America Kevin Owens thing, AJ Styles beating him to bring the U.S. title home. You got a flag match. You have Randy Orton stepping into the Punjabi prison.
Wow,
They're really leaning into this whole patriotism
That's a good point. I didn't even think about the U.S. title. Like,
USA.
how ridiculous is this? I mean, the 4th of July stuff should have probably been at Great Balls of Fire, but it's all going to be happening at Battleground. It's interesting.
Yeah,
It is. Now, just a fun little thing I didn't even know I wanted. So we actually got AJ Styles taking on Chad Gable, and what was a match I didn't know I wanted. But the moment that those two came out, I was like, you know what? I want to see this, and I want to see this more. And it was a perfect combination of, they didn't give you like too much. They didn't give you like a 15-minute match. It was a quick match where AJ Styles was clearly the superior person in that match. But then what Chad Gable managed to actually do in that match, I think it really set a point across. I even sent out a tweet saying, if I was Jason Jordan, I'd be kind of like, damn it.
Crying in a corner.
Yeah, Chad Gable's totally a Shelton Benjamin, and I'm Charlie Haas, ain't I? Of the bunch.
It's happening before the tag
But
team
you're
even
not
really got off
wrong.
the ground. It's kind of sad.
So what you guys think about that match? Were you surprised at the fact that they gave us something like this? It's rare, I think, nowadays, because we're so used to like, top guys against top guys, and then you see up-and-comers like Baron Corbin, but people are like, boo, I don't want to see that guy at the top. Here's Chad Gable, where, out of American Alpha, everybody's always looked at him and gone like, hey, that guy is like the next Kurt Angle. There's something. He has charisma in the ring. So I think that is something that is super cool about that. So yeah, like thoughts on Chad Gable getting this opportunity?
Yeah, it was a really cool match, and in a very like story-filled SmackDown, it was really cool to just get a nice, solid one-on-one match. And you can kind of see it, maybe it won't happen right away, but I think that your point about Chad Gable being the Shelton Benjamin and Jason Jordan being the Charlie Haas is a good one, because you could, especially after that match, you could easily see Chad Gable being a mid-card champion at some point down the road. And with as little as American Alpha's been doing, and it seems like how much they don't fit in the tag division these days, maybe a singles run is in Chad Gable's future, because after that match with AJ, you'd think that they'd have some confidence in him for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think there is a bright future for Chad Gable. Let's hope he can soar higher than Shelton Benjamin did in the WWE, because he definitely has the potential for it.
He doesn't have the mean streets of Orangeburg going for him, so
He does not.
who knows?
He does not. But he moved to Dayton, Ohio for a day and then moved
true.
back. So he's got that going for him. Yeah, I mean, I still think there's a lot of good that they could do as the Team American Alpha, and I just appreciate every once in a while when you have a tag guy face off in kind of a bigger match, just to see what they can do. And I think probably his match with Kevin Owens impressed people, so they gave him this opportunity. So it was really cool to see. I appreciate little matches like this, those kind of matchups you don't expect to see that they give you every once in a while. And you know AJ's going to win, but it's also a very good showcase for Gable. So I really liked it.
It reminded me a little bit of Undertaker versus Jeff Hardy, where you knew Undertaker was going to win that ladder match, but there was that thing of just like Jeff Hardy is being elevated just by participating in that match, and I really got that vibe from Chad Gable. So I'm hoping that this leads to bigger and better things. And Jason Jordan, I'm sorry, man. I'm just sorry.
Every Shawn Michaels needed a Marty Jannetty. Shelton Benjamin needed a Charlie Haas. For a long time, Jeff Hardy needed a Matt Hardy.
I think we need to get ourselves a new Byte That shirt. Everybody needs a Jannetty in their life.
Yeah,
Book
everyone needs a Marty.
Ryan,
Oh.
get ready, folks. Because Ryan's going to do something very special. Because Keith, we're on the road to 205 Live. I know that you wanted to do this whole, live podcast thing at 205, so just go so it could be extra live. So I got you a gift just to make you feel a little bit better. Something historic that's never happened before, man.
What'd you get me?
How about if I give you a box, and inside of that box is a phone with Ryan talking about non-WWE wrestling? Would that be a good gift for you?
Why would I need a telephone?
I don't know, man. I got to put something in the box.
That's fair.
Something's got to go with that damn box. So,
I watched New Japan.
Folks,
Oh my God.
Okay, the internet literally tore down my laptop. My computer is on fire, and OBS is just crying. Ryan watched a Japanese wrestling show, but it had to cross over to the U.S. in order for him to watch it.
Come over to my soil because America and things like that. Well, no, what it really came down to is the fact that I recently got Sling TV, and it has that access channel, which they show New Japan stuff on it, and the G1 USA thing was going on. I didn't watch it live, but I was hearing a lot about it, and then I was like, oh, hey, look, they have it on demand. I can just go and watch it whenever I want. So that was pretty awesome. So I decided to check it out. I got through most of it. I thought it was a really, really good show. It was like, I had also recently watched whatever was on like Ring of Honor TV recently. So I saw a few familiar faces. Like I saw like Hangman Page before on an ROH thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Cody Rhodes was involved, and I was excited to see Kenny Omega in his match. I thought it was very impressive. So, and Billy Gunn was there. That was interesting. He kind of stuck out like a sore thumb, but that was a thing. So a lot of these guys that I've heard about on various other podcasts, it was cool to see them in action and, to see what the hype was all about. And it was a very fun show.
So Keith, were you able to watch any of the G1?
Yes, I did. I watched both nights of the G1 special, and it was really good. There was some solid wrestling that took place there. There was some. I had my iPad at the same time and kind of educating myself on people that I didn't know, like that Ishii fellow. I kind of fell in love with, and it was a great show of solid wrestling, and it's something that you don't like. You can see the difference between something like New Japan or the indie scene and the WWE, where it's like entertainment versus wrestling, and that definitely leads on the more wrestling side of things. And it was a nice, refreshing look at something in comparison to the WWE. And I'm, as somebody like I mentioned last week, I'm all in on this whole G1 thing. I'm gonna see it all this year, and this was a nice kind of like, hey, these are the people that you'll see plus more going into that event. So it was a nice little like starter stepping stone, and I enjoyed it. Plus, the Winnipeg guy did real good, so I feel real good about that.
I was really happy at the fact that this got so much coverage. It got a lot of people. We always browse the subreddit Squirt Circle. And a lot of people are saying, hey, I finally get to see what this whole commotion is about New Japan Pro Wrestling and why it's so cool. Like Ryan, I only got to see night 1, so I definitely want to check out night 2. I believe that's gonna be going up on Access TV this Friday. So if you guys want to check that out on Sling, I think Sling has a 7-day trial. Not a sponsor, but hey, you can check that out. And what I will say, Cody Rhodes. That's the one thing I really want to talk about. There was a lot of good wrestling here. I think if we only focus on the really good, solid wrestling, we could do an entire episode about that. But this was a built-up match. Obviously, Cody Rhodes had just recently become the Ring of Honor World Champion. Keith and I had watched Cody Rhodes wrestle live at WrestlePro, during WrestleMania weekend. And it seems like every match that I see Cody Rhodes on the independent team is a solid, good wrestling match. But I can't tell you what was memorable about it from the Cody aspect. I think his opponents bring a lot to the table, but there's something that Cody is missing in order to get to that Kenny Omega level. Kenny Omega, I haven't watched a lot of Kenny Omega. I'm not going to sit here and say oh my God, can't wait for WWE to sign him, because I'd be a hypocrite. I don't know. But from the little that I've seen him, I can tell you he does this. The way he dives is unlike other people. He is so crisp in that ring. I love his selling. There are memorable things about his performance. With Cody, I am just not getting it, other than he seems to really like what he's doing, which isn't bad, but it's not going to make me, go out of my way to watch more New Japan because of a guy like Cody. So do you guys get a vibe like that?
Absolutely. It in my mind, it's the difference between good and great, where I don't think there's anything wrong with Cody, but Cody is a very good wrestler. When you have somebody like Kenny Omega, who I'm like you, I haven't seen a ton of his work beyond this year, but ever since his big match with Okada, I've been slowly dabbling and slowly learning, and that's a great wrestler, and that's where the difference is. And it's very apparent, especially when the two of them are on the same show. It's easy to see.
Yeah, the thing is, you can kind of compare it to someone like Randy Orton, right? Where you look at Orton and it's every Randy Orton match looks better on paper than it most of the time ends up being, right? Sometimes it's he'll always have a good match, but it never really breaks that. It never really crossed that line into amazing territory. So, maybe Cody will get there. I can see what you mean, where just that specialness, that little extra spice, it just isn't quite there.
It's a lot like Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage, where Hulk Hogan was very good at what he did, but if you go beyond that bubble, it starts to fall apart. But somebody like the Macho Man Randy Savage, he was great at everything. Whatever Randy did was gold, but Hulk Hogan was really good at the Hulkamania thing.
Yeah, I think,
and that's it.
Let's see here. I'm hoping this makes sense. You could almost say that Cody Rhodes is not memorable, but there's a presence around him. You look at him when we saw him in WrestlePro, we saw him live and in person. Before that, he had an autograph signing, and he stuck out like a sore thumb. Not just because he was dressed like $5 million, but the presence that he has, it makes you go hey, this guy's something. Even if you don't know that he's a wrestler, I think that he gives that presence, but his performance is not memorable. But maybe take a guy like Drew Galloway. Drew Galloway, he stepped back in NXT when he probably maybe didn't even need to do that, but it immediately clicked. Something changed. So maybe Cody just needs a little bit more seasoning outside of the WWE. Now, before we get ourselves to the predictions for the Great Balls of Fire, guys, the WWE 2K18 embargo was lifted off the ground. Kinda. Yeah, Keith is super excited about this. I mean, it's just all over the place. But
he's like Mojo Riley over there with his hype levels.
I just don't get hype. I stay hype.
Yeah, kinda. But what happened was that last week, WWE 2K, like the 2K Studios, invited out, some of the primary YouTube influencers, if you will, regarding wrestling games. So guys like Tubby Emu, Chris Denker, Denkops, you have a lot of guys that attended this event, Tony Pizza Guy being another one, and they had like a Q&A session. So these guys, I've watched 4 videos before we recorded the podcast, and the consensus was that they were able to speak pretty honestly to the developers about, hey, 2K17 not that great. This is what should have changed. So it seems like they were honest about that. They weren't showing any actual gameplay. Like, I just want to say that right off the bat. So all the information that I'm about to share is based off no gameplay. They got to see a side-by-side comparison of a Randy Orton and a Seth Rollins, I believe, character model, and they look better. But ultimately, this is all speculation. This is all just conversation. If you don't like this, guess what? This Monday, Fire Pro Wrestling comes out, early access on Steam. Maybe that can help get your fix. So I'm just going to run all this down very quickly, and then Ryan and Keith, I want your guys' overall reaction, and let me know if anything really sticks out for you. So talking about WWE 2K18, we're not going to have 8 superstars in the ring at the same time. Before it was 6, so we're officially moving out to 8 for both male and female. The tagline, one of the taglines for this is the most, Ryan, I know you're going to love this one, the most realistic WWE game ever.
Oh,
ever.
Boy.
Credit to Denkops on YouTube for all this information. They have a new upgrade system, like a progression system for your created superstar. That scares me because I just want to create somebody and race his attributes and kick some ass online. Fighting styles are coming back. So if you remember old SmackDown games and games like WWE All-Stars, where you had like your brawler, your high flyer, your super heavyweight, it seems like something like that's going to be making a return. My career will now have a free roam backstage. So like you can actually just walk around. And apparently this is going to be a serious, more narrative-driven mode. As opposed to what? Because it's never really been all that great.
There you have it.
Yeah, Keith is... Man, I can feel your hype about all this. They're going to have a Road to Glory, which is an online My Player kind of a career mode, so like an online mode. They literally just said that by name, so nothing else has been revealed. They have a create a match, so you can just like, I'll do a lot of presets and save that as a match type. They're adding new things to like a create a video. They have a free roaming camera there, so now like you can rewatch a match and move that around. So if you're a content creator on YouTube, seems like that would be something that would definitely benefit you. Mixed gender matches are coming back. That is super surprising. I know, Keith, you're just rolling like you were, oh my God, you can't contain yourself, but that is interesting. New graphics engine, direct quote, NBA quality level. Take that for what you will. The NBA games have historically looked pretty awesome. The commentary team will be Michael Cole, Byron Saxton, and Corey Graves for all the game, not just like a brand or something. This will be the biggest roster in WWE game history. Apparently, it's going to have around or almost 200 superstars, which is insane. 200. And just the last little thing, I didn't put all the things. I put the things that maybe you guys will care about the most. You can do mid-move adjustments now, but once again, not a lot of details. You can carry your opponent. So if you want to move him around, you can actually pick him up and carry him. And the dragging animations are better. Keith, contain yourself because I want to take it over to Ryan first. Ryan, how many copies are you buying of this game based on no gameplay and only a bunch of things? Which I'm just going to this is the real question. Is it even cost effective to bring out a lot of influencers to your studio to only talk about the game and provide no actual footage of the game you are talking about? Or am I missing something here?
Well, the thing is, right, if you bring a bunch of community people over, which, I mean, I feel like the WWE games community doesn't even have that huge of a presence as it could compared to many other games out there. But for what community there is, you bring them out to kind of air their grievances for a game. You know what I mean? The game's kind of already made. It's one thing if like, okay, 2K18 came out and then you get some community creators who can actually maybe have input for 2K19. But this is just kind of gonna, it's not gonna really go anywhere, right? Or at least not for a very long time. So it just seems like these are the things we want, and it's like, yeah, well, we're kind of already doing all this, so nothing you say actually matters.
Plus, it's the oldest sales tactic in the book of, hey, remember that thing last year that sucked? Guess what? It sucked. So this one's going to be better.
Yeah, I mean, this is a step in the right direction, though, because they've historically not really acknowledged their community before. So it's actually kind of nice to see this. As far as the actual features I'm hearing about, I like Create an Arena. That's coming back. That's a step in the right direction. We don't know about the story suite or whatever.
No GM mode. That's confirmed. They did state no GM mode for this game.
Which
There's
is fine. I think
mode.
we had our fun with that, and I think we're good with it not coming back. Yeah, I mean, there's so many more online things they can do. I pitched before how you can do Madden seasons with people online. It would be cool if you could do a wrestling league with, maybe 20 people online or whatever, and you play out a card each week. You have one match a week or whatever, however you want to do it. That there's so much potential in doing something like that. It has a lot of moving parts, but if Madden's able to pull it off, they could definitely do it for WWE. So I'm kind of disappointed that they're not heavily expanding into online like they really could. But yeah, it comes down to gameplay. Is it going to be fun? I like that you can walk around backstage, kind of like Shut Your Mouth style. That sounds like a step in the right direction of making my career mode actually fun, because the one I played in 2K16 was boring as hell. I played the same matches over and over again, and my character sucked, really bad, for a really long time. And I put 20 hours into it, and my character still sucked. So it was just not fun.
I'm just not a fan of the whole shift to realism. It feels like we've beaten that horse to death. No offense to any horses out there, but yeah.
Rest in peace, Billy Stallion.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yes, Billy Stallion. You can look that up on the YouTube channel. I played that in 2K16, I believe it was, and it did not go well. So hopefully, we actually get to see this with some actual footage. Although, yeah, like you mentioned, Ryan, it props to the 2K staff for figuring out a non-traditional way of revealing the information, because they could have easily done a video on YouTube and just talk about the game. No, they actually delegated that to the influencers and the creators, because they have their audiences. So I think that people are going to respect that more.
More and more important part of gaming. So it's nice to see that they're acknowledging that.
Yeah.
Agreed, 500%. And with that, folks, it's now time for our WWE Great Balls of Fire predictions here on the podcast. If you're listening to us on social media, definitely tweet us. Which is the match that you care about the most? How's your excitement level? How's your hype level for this pay-per-view? Are you kind of like Keith with WWE 2K18? Hopefully you're not. So let's actually kick it off with the kickoff match. So the kickoff match is a WWE Cruiserweight Championship match with Neville taking on the power of Tozawa.
All right, so with this match, Neville is very likely going to win, but I like to see that Titus Worldwide. It's no longer Titus brand, I guess. It's Titus Worldwide now. And Tozawa are actually getting some sort of a spotlight. It's kind of sad that this is the kickoff match, because the Cruiserweight title is already seen as just kind of it's always put in kind of a tough spot. So that it's just going to kind of further that. If we want to make it feel important, we got to start putting it in more important spots on the card. But nevertheless, Neville will definitely win, but this is a nice showcase for Tozawa. I hope it goes somewhere, because, we look at a guy like Jack Gallagher. At one point, he was pretty over, and then he just kind of disappeared off of Raw.
That's actually, that's a really good comparison, and they did have that amazing match with Jack Gallagher, him and Neville, at, I can't remember which pay-per-view it was at the top of my head.
It was one of them.
It was one of them this year. And I think that's what this match is going to be as well. It's going to be a fantastic showcase for Tozawa. It'll probably be a big character building thing, because I think the biggest benefit he has with Titus is now he can expand beyond just being the ha guy. Ha. But all that being said, Neville still wins, because I still want Neville to hold the title forever.
I'm not a big fan of this whole flavor of the month thing with the Cruiserweight Championship. Like, I get it's not a huge division or a huge emphasis on Raw. I know they have 205 Live, but it seems it's just like, here's Jack Gallagher, and you're going to like this guy very much. Watch him fade away. Hey, here's Austin Aries. You're going to like this guy very much. Now, I know apparently he had some personal things to which he backed out of WWE for a little while, but it's happened time and time again, right? Which is weird, because you have this opportunity to like build that person and keep them up there. But for whatever reason, they're not doing that. I think with Tozawa, it's a lot better.
Well, what I'm going to say is, because there's really only one feud going on, it's kind of just like, oh, who's the next victim for Neville? Whereas if we could get to a point, and this is where a 3-hour Raw, you wouldn't even need 205 Live if you were economic with your time, but either way, you have 205 Live and you have Raw. You need to like have a side story where you're building another guy on the side, and maybe that's Cedric Alexander, because they are kind of starting to do that. So Cedric Alexander could be this guy that they are building on the side to eventually be the one that's going to take down Neville, because that's what this is all about, right? Is Neville is going to dominate this division while they build someone else up to eventually take him down, and then you get a made man. And I had just forgotten until now that, yeah, Cedric Alexander is kind of that guy. And he recently came back, and he's starting to get some more TV time. So it seems like that would be the great strategy. Tozawa is a good guy, like a good for now kind of feud, and it's also great that Titus O'Neil is sort of bridging the gap with the main roster in 205 Live. I think that's super important, and this is a great first step with that.
And the Cruiserweight Championship feud is not the only feud on 205 Live at any given time. Like, why does it always have to be the title match? Maybe we have some for a month, take a month off, and put one of the other feuds on a pay-per-view instead.
Exactly. Like, I do think that's something that could happen. You want to show something like this is awesome. Yeah, then do that. Instead, you get like Noam Dar versus Cedric. Then Cedric Alexander versus Noam Dar.
Bring the no-fly zone to Great Balls of Fire.
They're afraid to do anything that isn't the Noam Dar or Cruiserweight title thing on Raw. Everything else gets relegated to 205 Live.
Unfortunately, but yeah, Neville's got to win this. As cool as it is for Tozawa, maybe there's like a tag team thing. I actually see this as an opportunity to get him out of the Cruiserweight division and into a tag team with maybe Apollo Crews, who was almost killed by Braun Strowman on Raw.
Oh my God.
So then,
Apollo.
Yeah, poor Apollo, man. Up next, let's get very, very personal. We have Big Cass taking on Enzo Amore. It's time. We've talked about how does this match even look? What actually happens in this match? And ultimately, who's going to win? I think that's the biggest challenge that everybody has. I'm actually going to start by saying it's going to be DQ. I don't see this match already having a conclusive finish. I see this match almost not happening. Like, if you want to sell the idea that Enzo is pissed off at the betrayal, after this awesome promo on Raw, like Enzo on the microphone, he can always back it up. That has never been a concern, right? So here's the chance to like do the whole thing where, hey, what? You're maybe not that great a wrestler, then don't wrestle. Like, get disqualified 5 seconds into the match and proceed to have like a 10-minute brawl where nobody can split you guys up. It saves time for like a SummerSlam match where ultimately I think that's what's going to be, the really big payoff for this.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on your bandwagon, Juan, and say that it does end in a DQ, because Enzo, he needs some sort of equalizer, right? He needs weapons to keep things even. So I think like Enzo's doing way too good for them to just job him out like immediately. That they could find a way that this goes to, Enzo's just trying to win this match by any way that he can. He's, using the steel steps, trying to push Cass into it or whatever, trying to outsmart him or whatever. Somehow a DQ happens, and then that leads to like a street fight type of situation for SummerSlam. I think that would be really cool. I'd be really sad to see this just be Cass squashes Enzo. That's it. We move on. It's the build so far has been so good that it seems like a little early to just end it right then and there.
This bandwagon seems pretty comfortable, so I think I'm gonna have to jump on it as well.
There's only 2 spots in it.
I just made a third because that's how I roll. But yes, this match probably won't happen, and it'll probably lead to some sort of stipulation match, maybe at SummerSlam or something along those lines. But when they get there, Enzo is going to get destroyed. Yes, they should build a predicament where Enzo has an equalizer, but that doesn't mean that equalizer is going to work. And then Cass just destroys him.
Yeah, that actually seems to work. I think that ultimately this is going to be the match that really, it gets people interested in the show, right? Where it's like, how is this going to happen? I think that I don't see this ending at SummerSlam. I like the whole street fight thing at SummerSlam, have that happen then. And this is almost like the new, this may sound weird, like Sasha and Charlotte. Have these 2 guys go through everything. Kennel from Hell,
I don't
bring
think
it back.
Should last that long.
I don't think
it's Kennel from Hell the new Simon Dean thing? You mentioned it every episode now.
And we got a Simon Dean reference.
This feud has one pinfall in it, and that's when just Cass destroys Enzo, because I disagree with the whole Charlotte and Sasha thing, because that was a competitive feud. There is no way for this to be competitive in any way, because Cass will destroy Enzo, and if it's anything else, it seems weird to me. So you have that one match, and then they go their separate ways, unless it just turns into this thing where Cass just beats Enzo down every month, in a different way. One month he beats him in a street fight, then the next month he beats him in a cage.
I'm not finished with you.
Yeah,
Braun Strowman all over again.
Cass Strowman.
Let's move on to the next match, shall we? We got Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt. I don't
Seth Rollins
know
wins.
How to feel about this one.
Seth Rollins is on the video game. He probably wins for that. Fart noise next.
Really? How sad is that? I have nothing to add to this conversation. Not in a super smarky LOL. I watch Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins on my screen, and I ask myself, why? I'm not getting this vibe. Who knows? Maybe it can be a good match, but Rollins is gonna win, and that's about where we're gonna. That's as much as we're gonna talk about it.
Neither of them have that it factor, and it's just a zone of void of anything good.
And that's why Bobby Roode is in NXT. Up next, we have ourselves a tag team 30-minute Iron Man match where Cesaro look to walk out as the tag team champions when they take on the seemingly forever in the process of breaking Hardy Boys. Because this week, in the past 2 weeks, Matt Hardy on Twitter...
I just got that, by the way. Cesaro?
Yeah.
Sheamus and Cesaro. I understand.
I don't like the spelling of it.
No.
It looks wrong. It looks... Yeah.
I don't like it.
Tag team Iron Man match, 30 minutes. It doesn't feel like 30 minutes is a lot, but it feels like in a tag team match that can go by a lot faster, right?
Yeah, this is a kind of a tough call because if the Hardys aren't going broken anytime soon, are they going to lose this? I mean, they've been looking pretty strong aside from the one cage match loss. I still feel like Sheamus and Cesaro are going to win, though. So they'll find some way to do it, but I think this is going to be an awesome match.
Yeah, this is just going to be a really good tag team match, and I agree that I think Sheamus and Cesaro are going to come out on top. It's going to be really close. It's going to be one of those Iron Man finishes that comes down to the last 15, 20 seconds, and then they just squeak by with a win.
This can really be the match of the night. I think that whenever you have
sure.
Cesaro, Jeff Hardy, actually, I'll say, like in these, random tag team matches, Matt and Jeff, they've been doing really good on Raw. It's not like a 5-star match because they're not meant to be, but it's very enjoyable. And I think with the 30 minutes, they can build that crowd, right? Like they can create a match that they know, like they're going to have the people in the palm of their hands. So I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, I see Cesaro taking this one home. Then we're going to be talking about the Intercontinental Championship. The Miz takes on Dean Ambrose, and I expect a lot of shenanigans. How many shenanigans are you expecting to see in this match?
I'm going to put the over under at 2.5 shenanigans, and okay. I'm going to take the over. Yeah, this will be cool. Okay, first things first, Miz Taraj, why does everything have to be like branded or whatever? Like, couldn't we just call it the Entourage or Miz's Entourage?
No, because
it's always going to be Miz Taraj, or every tag team has to be.
Though. It totally makes sense for the Miz because the Miz is like his character is a walking Hollywood brand.
I know, but does the name have to be Miz Taraj?
Yes,
because it is the Entourage.
It's the Miz's Entourage, and with the Miz's character, you would put your name in the word Entourage.
But what happened to like Evolution, right? You don't have to put your name in everything, or Legacy. There was faction names that didn't have everybody's name in it.
Yeah, but the difference between Evolution and the Miztourage was that you had like Triple H and Ric Flair, and then you had the two guys. You had
Ric Flair,
equal levels of star
Dallas,
power.
I see no difference. Anyway, moving on. The Miz better win. He's got his new faction behind him. He's got his boys. If he doesn't win, then that's going to be pretty upsetting. And I think we want to see Dean Ambrose move. I think we want to see both of these guys move on from this feud. It's been going on for an eternity.
Yes.
So let's get Dean Ambrose on to greater things. Let's have the Miz solidify the Intercontinental Division and his faction, which may eventually rise him further. So, yes, Miz wins.
Miz is going to have a cold title defense with the boys on this one. There's going to be a lot of shenanigans. And like Ryan mentioned, just let's both of them move on to bigger and better things. I don't want to see another Miz versus Dean Ambrose match personally for a while now, but I do hope that Miz keeps the Intercontinental title.
I also see the Miz walking out as the Intercontinental Champion. I think Dean Ambrose is in this tough spot, and in interviews and promos, it has been stated whenever he becomes a champion or whenever he is the champion, whether it be a short title reign or a long title reign, a lot of nothing, right, is like what really encapsulates those storylines and rivalries that Dean Ambrose is involved in for whatever reason. I don't know if it's him, if it's the story writers. I just care about the fact that when I watch Dean Ambrose as a champion on my TV, going all the way back to the days of the Shield, there wasn't really a lot of substance happening, right? So I'm going to go with The Miz. And also Curtis Axel, thank you, my friend. After your whole life, you finally got a decent haircut and a decent hairstyle. Keep at it, man. Very, very proud of you. We're going to be moving on now to the Women's Championship match. Alexa Bliss defends against Sasha Banks. So Sasha looks to become a 4-time Raw Women's Champion, which is insane to really think about, right? Like 4-time Raw Women's Champion. That could be happening in this match. I have a lot of high hopes for this match. Not even in the match itself, but like the storytelling, right? Like I think Sasha and Alexa are of similar sizes. That they can maybe do things that maybe they can do with somebody like Tamina or Nia Jax. Maybe somebody like Becky Lynch could work. What do you guys think of this match?
I mean, these are some of the best women in all of WWE, so there is a lot of hype for this match, and I'm expecting Alexa to win. But this is certainly not where this feud ends. This is definitely going to be at least like a 2 to 3 pay-per-view type of program, where I think eventually Sasha is going to regain the championship and actually have like a real title reign for once. But for now, I'm gonna pick Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, this is definitely step one in a multiple match feud, and I think Alexa Bliss wins, but there's probably some sort of shenanigans. I foresee a lot of shenanigans at Great Balls of Fire, really, but I think this is another
Where there's
shenanigan.
balls, there's shenanigans. That's for sure.
Boy, that's been a motto of my life sometimes. But if there is shenanigans, it's probably something involving Nia Jax, and she comes out and maybe costs Sasha the championship. And then Alexa Bliss wins. And on to SummerSlam, probably, where Sasha wins. Good times.
I love you, Keith.
I love you
think
too.
that
I need to blow my nose.
Alexa Bliss will definitely, retain the championship. I think it's way too early for Sasha Banks to become champion. Although, if history has proven us anything, it's that when it comes to Sasha Banks and the Women's Championship, anything is possible in the WWE. So we could possibly be seeing a new champion.
But it's not on Raw.
At the balls.
It's on a pay-per-view.
Right. Okay.
She only wins on Raw.
What if the match is inconclusive, they get a rematch on Raw, and then she wins it at Raw?
Boom.
It's going to happen.
Boy, that
You're gonna
sure
be
sounds
happy
like
you spent
something
that
that
money.
happens. Yeah.
Let's talk about some ambulances. Scott Steiner is going to be very proud of this match. Every time I hear that damn ambulance,
Me too.
I have to yell out loud, holler if you hear me.
Well, no, not me too, but I think Scott Steiner.
Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. Looking forward to this one. Talk to me about it.
All right. This is going to be a match that I'm going to want Strowman to win, but he is not going to win. I think at one point, before the injury thing happened, Braun Strowman was going to win this match. But Samoa Joe kind of took his place when he got hurt.
Well, no,
And
because he was
Roman-
supposed to fight Brock Lesnar before that.
No, well, because I think weren't they supposed to do this ambulance match like at the previous pay-per-view?
Oh,
but
maybe.
Strowman was hurt. That's why they reincorporated the ambulance. So we were supposed to get this match a couple months ago. But now when you're lining up Roman for SummerSlam, getting a title shot, unfortunately, Strowman has to be sacrificed again, even though he already lost to Roman at Fastlane. So this really sucks. Maybe they'll do the thing like the Cena Ryback thing a couple of years ago where they just killed each other. And nobody won.
They both end up in the ambulance.
They fall through the ambulance roof together and hug each other on the way to the local medical facility. Almost said the H word there. So Roman wins, and if he doesn't, it's a draw.
I think this match has potential to out Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe, where this might end up being the match that you want that match to be. Just two giant slabs of meat beating the hell out of each other.
Wow.
And
What an image.
Yes.
It's going to be a fun match. It's going to be probably the match that's the most fun of the night. And because he's getting a title shot at SummerSlam, it's hard to see Braun Strowman winning because it's all hands on deck for Roman. So you probably have to sacrifice Braun for that. But he probably goes out in a pretty big way. Like you joked about one of them going through the roof of an ambulance, but that seems like a likely finish to that match.
That happened to Ryback, didn't it?
Happened to
In the-
JBL. I know that.
Yeah. So that they done it
First
before.
match.
Dream come true. What I'm thinking is going to happen here, it's going to be Braun Strowman is going to be about to win. Something happens where Reigns just barely defeats him. And then they actually try to play off a more sympathetic card with Roman Reigns, which would not be a bad thing. Although it's kind of funny. Even on SmackDown this week, we still get Roman Reigns references from the Usos and from John Cena, right? So much for like them trying to not shove Roman Reigns down our throats. That's another.
We've got 2 hours of television. How do we promote Roman on it?
Exactly, right? So I'm looking forward to this, though. Like, not even just for Reigns. I think that from a match perspective, there's a lot there's a lot in the tank for Braun Strowman that we haven't seen. Like the little things like, the Apollo Crews thing, like with the moonsault, and then, he just completely shoves him to the side. There's this element of power from Braun, power and size that we can get outcomes and things that we otherwise would not get, because today's roster is a lot smaller, right? Like than it's ever been. Like being 5'11" is normal. And then you get a guy like Braun Strowman to really change all that up. So I'm looking forward to this one here. And then it's time for the main event, and this one right here. We talked about the Dean Ambrose syndrome, guys. I think we are finally going to get over this. Even on Raw, like they did another outstanding job. Maybe it was a mediocre show, but they did a really good job of building up Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe for the Universal Championship. How do you guys see this one turning out?
I'm going to say that this is going to be an awesome match. I don't have the fear that Keith has. I'm saying that this is actually going to be a legitimate match. It's not going to be your paint by numbers Brock Lesnar match. This has been one of the best builds for a match in a long, long time. It feels like a real fight is going down, and MVP Samoa Joe, man, he has sold this the whole way with intensity. Like he really wants to get in there and beat the hell out of Brock Lesnar. And Lesnar's always good when he's kind of off the cuff, can drop all the swears he wants. He comes off as legit. So I've been loving this. I'm keeping my hype high. I don't want to be disappointed. I think this is going to be awesome. And Brock Lesnar will certainly win.
More than any other match this year, this match is about the journey and not the destination. Because I think it's a foregone conclusion that Brock Lesnar wins this match, but that's not going to be the story here. It's how good this match actually is. And I'm hoping that I'm wrong, because I'm not I hope so badly that this match is good, but I'm ready to be disappointed. I'm ready for it not to live up to expectations, and especially on a card where you have Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns. Like I just said, I think that match has more potential to be that guys beat the hell out of each other match than the main event does, than the Universal Championship match does. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope that it's this incredible match that we wanted out of Brock Lesnar for a very long time, where they just go in and they beat the hell out of each other, and it's a fight. But yeah, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Lesnar wins this, but Joe's at a pivot point. He's at a crossroad where how this match goes dictates how Samoa Joe's career goes for the next while, and I hope it's good. I really do.
This is and I really am being serious when I say this. It sounds like a Juanism, but I have a strange feeling that we're gonna get a new champion here. I think that they've actually invested enough time into Samoa Joe. Maybe he's a short-term time champion and Brock Lesnar destroys him later. What we've seen is that they have, in a very, very short amount of time, built up Samoa Joe to beat Brock Lesnar. Think about it. In no time at all, they elevated him to the Brock Lesnar level, when how many times have we said, man, like there's nobody else on the roster that is like this Brock Lesnar guy that just looks like a bad guy. When they were setting up the microphones, they had that split screen thing, and just the way that Samoa Joe looked at you directly, just to let you know, like, I mean business. He's not even a heel character. He's not a bad character. He's a bad person. Like, the character is a bad person that just wants to hurt people, and I miss that, right? Like, people that aren't afraid of just doing whatever the hell they want to do. You want to choke somebody out? You go ahead and choke somebody out. I don't want a wrestling match here. I want a brawling match. I want like an Attitude Era-esque Stone Cold Steve Austin type match where it's like punches, kicks, there will be blood. Guaranteed. There will be blood in the first 2 minutes of this match from somebody. And that match is going to keep happening. And I think that if Samoa Joe becomes the champion, people will believe him. People can believe that he can dethrone Brock Lesnar, and I think that we're going to get Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. It doesn't need to be for the championship. I think we said that.
But doesn't that take a lot of steam off of that match?
Yeah.
It does for Samoa Joe as well. Like, How do you go back down from this? They have built you
Because
up.
he just has to get close. If you
Yep.
get close against Lesnar, then you'll be
So-
fine.
So going by your argument one, do you not see it being a more likely scenario that there is no winner to this match? It ends in a DQ or just like the referees or the doctors stop it, because almost like a Stone Cold Steve Austin Bret Hart scenario where they just get, or Joe or Lesnar get
Or they
beaten
stopped
down.
it against Randy Orton. Did they stop that match? I think they did.
Yeah,
When
they did.
Brock
the
Lesnar beat the hell out of
SummerSlam match.
Orton.
Or
I'll take that one
yeah.
step further. I'll take a Coquina clutch. Lesnar doesn't tap out; he passes out. I'll take that one step further. Here's why. And like this is like an awkward spot because like we do podcasts, right? And whenever we do, or any content creator does a thing like this, it's like, well, you're going to predict what is probably going to happen. I also like to interject a little bit of like the fan inside myself. Like I think it's fun to actually sit down, and I
we have the
legitimately think there's a
tinfoil hat.
chance. Yeah, the tinfoil hat, man. Like
You're
I
right with
live that.
Jinder. You were the only one who
Exactly.
called Jinder.
Exactly. I called it with Jinder.
But
I'm going to
Juan-
call it with Samoa Joe, man.
With a bold prediction such as this, there are consequences
Creed?
for your actions. So,
Oh,
yes,
boy.
consequences, Creed, yes.
What?
That's a Juanism if I've ever heard it. Okay. If you lose, if you want to make this prediction
I already did.
and you were wrong, then you know your little Jinder promo you had before? Well, you got to cut a different promo about how awesome Keith and I are. And if you are correct, then myself and Keith,
No.
myself and Keith,
No. Yourself.
Keith already
I'm
agreed
not-
to this off screen. Don't
Nope,
worry about
that
it, guys.
Actually didn't happen.
Right,
And-
keep talking, buddy.
Anything he says now doesn't matter. Okay, so we will
Remember
talk about how
this
great.
thing?
We will take some time to talk about how amazing you are at predicting. There you go.
Done.
We'll cut a little
Done.
piece of the show to dedicate to you.
Nope.
Done.
But you can.
The 200 episode wrap didn't happen, but at least we can get this. And
No. We won't. We'll get it from Ryan. I never agreed to anything.
Keith doesn't agree to things, but he still doesn't. But folks, something else that's really cool is that we now have the live podcast, right? Which, you know, I remember last week after we recorded the show and stream, I should say, we had a couple people on Instagram saying, crap, I missed it. You know, I'll definitely join next time. Like, I know it's a matter of creatures of habit. Plus, we have people like, we have a Patreon supporter, Overcooked Bacon. Him and I have 14 hours of difference in time zone. So, like, we had to play Mario Kart. It was like 7 a.m. for me, and it was Sunday for him. It was Saturday morning for me. It was Sunday for him, or something like that. It was insane. So what I want to say with this is that one of the benefits of the YouTube live stream is that you can actually donate via Super Chat. So if you donate via Super Chat, maybe you have a comment about a pay-per-view, something that's happening, a specific question that you want to make sure makes it to the show, Super Chat donation is a way that you can do that. And remember, as I said at the top of the show, you can get yourself a 30-day free trial of Audible and a free audiobook of your choice. All you got to do is go to audibletrial.com/bytethat. I'm still listening to the Hardcore Holly autobiography. I may be listening to the Justin Roberts one afterwards. I just really love autobiographies. I know there's a lot of great fiction out there, but I just like hearing those, especially when they're narrated by the same person or, you know, somebody that does a really good job. So once again, audibletrial.com/bytethat. And with that, my friends, we go to questions. So you can also send us questions on Twitter, ByteThatCast, using the hashtag AskBT. You can also go to ByteThatCast@gmail.com. Send us an email. Tell us where you're from. Man, we have a lot of international listeners. It's awesome. A lot of people from the UK. Or if you're on YouTube, just comment on the podcast after it has streamed. You know, we're still getting adjusted to that. Like, we see a lot of comments on the live stream, but then we don't see those on the archive, right? Like, that's because those don't make it. So I know it's a little awkward, but it's all a matter of getting adjusted to that. So Keith, my friend,
Yes.
what do we got?
I have a little bit of life left in me. We got this.
Ryan can help you out. You can call out Ryan. You can tag him in.
All right.
You can do the
All
hot
right.
tag.
Get ready for the hot tag, Ryan. I may call you in on this. But
All
not
right,
yet.
I'll be ready, but You weren't there for me on my bet, so I'll think about it.
All right, you can play the heel move on me and like move your hand away and leave me in the ring to die.
We'll see.
But we'll see if we get there. But first, our first question comes in from Ty, who asks, if Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar goes over better than expected, what are the chances of a rematch where Joe wins the belt at SummerSlam or maybe the pay-per-view after?
Well, the thing is Roman already declared his title match for SummerSlam. They could always work in a triple threat. I don't expect there to be a one-on-one match regardless for a while. I think this is a one-shot deal for Joe versus Lesnar, at least for the time being. So whatever happens, happens. I expect Lesnar to win. I don't expect a rematch to be happening anytime soon.
Yeah, my prediction is basically that Joe is going to win here, so it would be kind of awkward, right, if I immediately contradicted myself and said, no, they're going to stall it at SummerSlam. Now, it does beg the question of what would happen, at like a SummerSlam or something like that. So my answer to that is that I don't think that Samoa Joe, that Brock Lesnar maintains himself in the championship scene if he were to lose it. I think that guys like Roman Reigns, John Cena, and Brock Lesnar can just feud between each other or amongst themselves without really needing some gold in the way.
Yeah, if Joe is in that title match at SummerSlam, it is a triple threat at best. There is no way that that Roman is out of that match, but I do think it is a one-off, and even if it is a great match, this is probably it for Joe in the main event scene until we cross over that hump of Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Now, will that lead to Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns after that fact? Probably. That seems like a pretty decent way for that for things to go forward. So, and if Samoa Joe comes close, if he's built up as this monster guy, that could be a pretty cool match. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Cyrus, who asks, where do you think the Hype Bros go now that it looks like they're heading for a breakup? Is Zack Ryder the star of the two, or is Mojo Mania going to run wild?
Well, you could ask yourself, who won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal?
Oh.
That'd be Mojo. It's interesting, though, because this could actually lead to a heel turn for Mojo based on the fact that he selfishly eliminated Zack Ryder. At first, I thought it was like, oh, maybe they have Ryder go heel, but maybe, if people do always have that soft spot for Zack Ryder. So if Mojo starts beating the crap out of him, people might actually get on the hate train for Mojo. Besides, like, way back in NXT, before, like, when they were showing the vignettes for Mojo Rawley, when I saw the video package for his gimmick, I thought it was a heel thing. And then it just totally changed into this, like, I'm jumping around, everybody's having a good time. But the original, if you like go back and look at those, the original like intensity he had, it seemed like he was like, I have this ability that nobody else has, and I'm like superior. And he just had this kind of very serious kind of look to him. And I was always like, oh man, that looks like super awesome. And then it just totally went a way I did not expect. So I think there's a lot of potential for that hype gimmick in a heel way.
I actually don't see that at all. What I saw this week, and I like this because I was waiting for the heel turn, the generic heel turn, but I think that because we got that between a Big Cass and Enzo, right, like this, the tall guy saying, hey, I'm the one that carried you. With this, you can tell like Mojo's feeling sorry for Ryder. It's like, man, you got thrown off the wheelchair. You're like the money you won this ladder match at WrestleMania only to then disappear. We got this tag title opportunity, yet you got injured. So guess what? We didn't get that. And then when we have a shot, we still didn't end up winning. And Zack is the little engine that could. Like his character literally is like this whole thing where I can, but I won't. So he's not Roman Reigns in that aspect. So it's going to be a matter of like, it's not even a breakup. It's like, dude, I am better than you. And I think it's going to lead to a match between Mojo and Zach, where Zach is going to think that, Mojo, sorry, I am going to beat you. And Mojo kills Zach in that match. Like, it's not even fair how one-sided it is. And then maybe we get to see that mean streak for Zach. Because, like, his tights still say, bro, kill that. You're done. Dude, I have a beat sprite that one of my best friends gave me, like, 5 freaking years ago. Or 6 years ago. It's still relevant. He still does the woo-woo-woo thing. Stop, man. You're like Ziggler. Actually, Ziggler and Zach.
He changed his hair. Ziggler changed his hair.
Woo.
Yeah, man.
At least he's changed his look a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Gemzo's Beat Sprites there.
Yes.
But if they do break up, Zack Ryder is probably the one that turns bad, but doesn't end up going anywhere. Because, like you mentioned, Zack Ryder has been doing the same thing for a very long time. His career went off the ramp with him in a wheelchair. But maybe this is finally the breaking point where I was the pity guy. You all cheered for me and it got me nowhere. So now I'm breaking off, almost exactly like Sheamus and Cesaro. And then it leads Sheamus and Cesaro. But it leads to Mojo doing bigger and better things because Zack Ryder is not the star here. Mojo Rawley is the star. I think Mojo Rawley at this point in their careers has more potential than Zack Ryder. Zack, even though it was a day, Zack Ryder had his moments. Mojo hasn't had that yet. Yes, he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but Mojo hasn't peaked yet, where it feels like anything that goes good with Zack Ryder is just trying to recapture that magic. And I think it's time to move on. Let Zack Ryder be a stepping stone for Mojo, and I think that's perfectly okay.
We see Cody Rhodes on the independent scene. I want to see Zack Ryder do something like that desperately.
That I said years ago that Zack Ryder would be great on the independent scene. He will have a great shoot interview one day. And it'll be fantastic. But thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Caleb, who asks, with the new Kevin Owens DVD out, who do you want to see a DVD based off of? His pick would be Samoa Joe.
Well, a true Undertaker career DVD with, his commentary and everything would be insane. I mean, we got the Triple H one was really, really good. And that one was pretty long. And I feel like the Undertaker one could be, just as good, if not better, because there's just so much story to tell with that. Another pick would obviously be the John Cena one when that eventually happens. I mean, that's a lot of career to go through as well. So really those guys who have been around for a while, because I mean, this Kevin Owens one, the clips I've seen look awesome, but it's like, his WWE career, there's still so much to go.
There's so much story to tell.
It really surprised me that it came out this early, but I'm still going to go and watch it because it looks awesome. But I like those ones that really encapsulate most of their career already. I mean, we know at this point, John Cena has more career behind him than ahead of him, so you could do that DVD relatively soon. And Undertaker seems to be done, so they need to get on that because that's going to be awesome.
That's probably the easy answer just because it's the most real one, right? Like, as a fan, I think the Undertaker one is the best one. With the Kevin Owens one, I honestly thought it was a match compilation because I was thinking, along your lines, which is he's still going. So it seems weird to create a story-based DVD when the story's still being written, right? My real answer now, it wouldn't be one superstar, and I know that this may be like a darker path, but they've done documentaries on Jake Roberts and all that. Capitalize on something like DDP Yoga. Capitalize on something that shows like, hey, you can be in a dark path like a Scott Hall and Jake the Snake, and you can triumph. Or show like, wrestling, it's some real shit. So like it's about the trials and the people that fall along the lines of addiction and all these stories. Like, look at a guy like Perry Saturn. People thought he was dead for years. Like I remember us talking about Perry Saturn. Man, way before the podcast and going like, what happened to this guy? Like from Moppy to what he did in ECW, I was a big fan of this guy. Huge contrast, I know. Bear with me. But all these stories, you know, and they go on podcasts and you hear them and I'm like, holy crap. If people saw the aftermath of things like the Attitude Era, which I know maybe wouldn't be too beneficial for WWE, but like they paid a price that to this day they're still living down, right? You know, the wrestler story, like, you know, the movie The Wrestler, they haven't made a documentary about, hey, yes, that happens. It's happening right now. It's happening with all these guys that retire for 80 times and still come back. I would love to see something like that from WWE now, because they've done things like that in the past.
Get that.
No, but this is what I would love to see. Because, like, imagine like a WWE 24 for this. Holy crap, I'm sold. I'll take 20.
Yeah, WWE 24 almost kills this question for me, where I just want to see a bunch more of those. But if I had to choose one, it would be less about a superstar and more along the lines of what they do with the WrestleMania WWE 24s, where they just like they follow the show more than just a superstar performing at a show. And it would be really cool that if they just like had that camera crew going for 6 months or a year or something like that, and just kind of made a behind the scenes WWE highlight reel where you get to follow the show for a year, get to see everything that happens. Almost imagine if like a smarky version of Total Divas existed. I guess that's the best way to describe it, where you just follow a bunch of people. Very, very similar to Breaking Ground. I guess it would be more like Breaking Ground, really. And expanding that out into like a DVD set or something along those lines would be cool. Just have a chapter for each pay-per-view. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Tanner. Oh God, I'm dying here. But Tanner asks, how would you react if you found out that aliens were real?
It would apply a lot of logic to wrestling. Is the real answer to this.
It would be, I would hope that one of them would challenge for the Universal title, because it only seems fitting.
And Roman Reigns would kill the aliens.
We have, I mean, if you had to pick somebody to fight the aliens, I'd probably still pick Brock Lesnar. Let's be real. He's our Universal Champion. He needs to protect us from aliens. That is his responsibility. I don't know if he realizes that, but he has to protect Earth from the rest of the universe.
Yeah, I mean, but let's be real. Roman Reigns is going to be the Will Smith and Independence Day of the WWE. He's the one that saves the world.
But what about is like Zack Ryder gonna be the guy? What's the guy's name? Oh my God, I can't believe I forget his name. Who drives the ship in and sacrifices himself?
The actor guy.
The actor guy,
the guy that did the role.
He did the acting thing for that movie.
Randy Quaid, who was like on the run for a while and like fled the country. Dolph Ziggler, he'll drive the ship in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love how this is nothing about their reactions. It's like, what if? Okay, guys, we wake up tomorrow, and I know in the world that we live in right now, it's easy to believe in anything that's happening. You actually found out, like, hey, something's happening in another part of the world. Aliens are shooting people up or whatever they're doing. They're doing alien things. How do you react? Realistically.
Freak out and head for the hills.
Yep. Basically, survival mode kicks in. You leave city centers. You become a bushman, and you wait it out.
Yeah.
Still prefer shaven, but anyway.
Whoa. Whoa.
Right, that's it.
Okay.
My hand's reaching for the tag. Will you take it?
Ryan did
take
the
last
thing.
one.
Sure.
All right. I will take the last one. Okay, our final question comes from Benjamin R. Hey there, Byte Club. To throw in something that you can discuss, Brian Alvarez from Wrestling Observer Live recently mentioned in the last episode that he thinks a problem about WWE nowadays is that they are obsessed with getting heat on heel wrestlers, but forget how to build up credible and over baby faces. One of his prime examples was the Alexa Bliss and Bayley feud, where they just tried to get as much heat on Alexa but didn't build up Bayley. Do you agree with this point of view? Keep up the good work and have a nice week.
Yeah, so thank you for this question, Benjamin. I'm actually going to be doing a separate video on this question that'll probably be published next week on the channel. You know, I want to take this time to say that one of the things that we're doing, and that's going to be going up this Friday, is that Ryan actually answered a question that was brought by one of you awesome supporters last week. You know, sometimes we get enough questions that we can cover them. Other times we have shows like this where, you know, we can't get to all of them. So what we...
where I die. Basically.
Yeah, where Keith is dying. So we want to make sure we do good by you and actually do that. So I'm going to save my answers for that video. So I'm going to take that over to Mr. Keith now before he dies.
Before I die. All right, I'll use my last little breath of life to basically say that I don't think that that isn't the issue. Like it comes down to part 1 and part 2, where if the heat on the heel wrestlers is definitely the problem, but it's because it's a popularity contest. It goes back to my old thing of social media is slowly killing wrestling, because even the bad guys want to be the cool guys more than the bad guys. So if you have someone out there being more popular by being bad than the people then you want to be good, that's what's killing them more than the good guys not being good enough good guys. It's I think it really comes down to it needs to be way less of a popularity contest than it actually is, and that would go a long way. And even though I know that's the world we live in, it's the emphasis on social media that maybe needs to go away for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the emphasis on heat is a little overdone, because you can have a ton of heat and still have a story be interesting. The thing is, it's just really everything else. And I know Juan will be able to give like a much more in-depth answer, so I'm just going to kind of give my short opinion, is that it's more about the fact that the heels oftentimes just seem like the more interesting and smarter characters. You can see a couple weeks ago with Carmella kind of pointing out previous references to why she should keep the Money in the Bank. Kevin Owens, a lot of times in his promos, is very logical with his answers about why is this person getting an opportunity and not me. And it's oftentimes the baby faces that are lying, and the commentators that lie for them and justify things that really can't be justified. And at the end of the day, baby faces look like phonies, and heels, although do bad things, come off as more authentic. And I think that is the fundamental issue.
Agreed. That's pretty much what's going to be my angle for that, which is that it's honestly just... it's difficult to build a babyface when, like Keith mentioned, in social media, everybody wants to be a good guy. You know, take somebody like Nia Jax. She's supposed to be a bad guy, but then you follow her on Instagram and she's adorable. So it's like, what is it? But your Instagram is Nia Jax, right? Like, that is the name of the character that you're portraying on TV. It's not your real life name. So thank you guys so much for your questions. We truly do always appreciate them. So with that, we close out the show with the Byte That Weekly Update by Mr. Spoiler himself, Nut Nolte.
All right, so for the Byte That Weekly Update, Fire Pro Wrestling World is actually going to be coming out July 10th, and that's going to be early access on Steam for $20. So that's a game we're definitely going to take a look at.
Yes.
So whether we talk about it on the podcast or we're going to do some videos about it or streams, we'll definitely give you guys a heads up, but we want to be checking that game out for sure. This Friday, as Juan mentioned, I'll have a video out where I answered a question we had received, where I talk about Money in the Bank matches and other multi-man matches. How do they work? Are those choreographed? or are those things that they kind of call on the fly, like you see with some singles matches between wrestlers? So I kind of go into that. So check that out on the YouTube channel this Friday. Patrons, $5 patrons, that's actually available now for early access. So if you don't want to wait, you can head over and see that by becoming a patron. I'm also going to be doing a live Great Balls of Fire review this Sunday following the pay-per-view. So expect that. Depending, sometimes the pay-per-views go over. So at least by 11:30, I should be on live doing that review, and that'll also be up on the YouTube channel once it's done streaming. So look out for the Great Balls of Fire review. Hopefully it's a good show and I'll be in a happy mood, but you guys can join the chat and I can get your feedback as well, and we can discuss that event. As I mentioned before, Patreon. If you want to support us, go that extra mile, head on over to patreon.com/Byte that. For as little as $1, you can get some sweet perks, including a pre-show. And as I mentioned, $5 patrons get some cool things like early access to videos. We get a Discord chat. You get lifetime access. If you've pledged any amount, you are in for that. And it's pretty cool. Get a lot of cool running conversations. And because of Patreon, we got some sweet things coming down the line in early August, including a second feed. Byte That Plus is going to have some extra content that you've seen on our YouTube channel. So audio listeners can get in on the fun too, with pay-per-view reviews, debate that, and a ton more stuff. And our private shows are going to be coming early August as well for patrons. Exclusive live shows just for them. And hey, lastly, if you want to help out this show, help it become greater than it is now, make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, or you can drop a review on iTunes/Apple Podcasts or Stitcher. That goes a long way in helping other wrestling fans find us for wrestling podcasts. So that is going to do it for this week, guys. Thank you to all who tuned in live. Thank you all who listened after the fact. We love you all, and we will see you next week.